Welcome to the Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs Training, Confidential Income Statements. This training is for child care centers, outside school hours, and Head Start sponsors that are claiming sibling and/or community member slots. The objectives for this training are to review the purpose of confidential income statement and how it pertains to your program, review the different types of eligibility, review common errors that result in fiscal action, and result in the administrative review finding. Please note that we will review approving CIS applications in the Child Nutrition Program training, approving confidential income statements. This session is an overview of the CACFP Policy and Procedure Manual for Center-Based Sponsors, Chapter 3, titled Eligibility Determination. The manual is located online at the Oregon Department of Education's CACFP's public website. The link to the manual is located on the slides titled Resources, which is at the end of this presentation. The confidential income statement is a tool for sponsors to use when determining eligibility. Participants can fall into three different eligibility: free, reduced priced, or above scale. From the determination of the eligibility category of each participant, the sponsor creates a unique reimbursement rate for the sponsor. Please note, if the sponsor has multiple sites, each site will have its own unique reimbursement rate based on the enrolled participant determined eligibility. There are three items that are needed when working with confidential income statements. The confidential income statement is a two-page document. Page 1 includes the application that participants or parent guardians will complete. Page 2 includes information regarding determining monthly income, the federal income guidelines, privacy statement, and the non-discrimination statement. The letter to the household is a fillable document that explains to the participants and the parent guardians about the confidential income statements and who to contact if they need more information and how to fill out the form, or if they have questions about CACFP. ODE CNP recommends that the sponsor print out the current income eligibility guidelines provided to them. This ensures that the sponsor has the most current and up-to-date guidelines and can easily access the document when approving CIS applications. Sponsors can find confidential income statements, letter to the household, and federal eligibility guidelines in the following locations: the Oregon Department of Education CACFP's public website, annual memo sent on or prior to July 1st to the listed food program coordinator in CNP Web, ODE CNP Policy and Procedure Manual for Center-Based Sponsors, Chapter 3, Eligibility Determinations. ODE CNP has these documents available in English, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and Vietnamese on the ODE CNP CACFP public website. For all other translations, please visit the USDA's Food and Nutrition Services website. For links to these resources, please see the slide titled Resources at the end of this presentation. Sponsors that claim one or more participants in the free or reduced price categories must follow the following steps. Distribute CIS and the letter to the households together to all participants at the time of enrollment and annually. For annual renewal, sponsors may determine the schedule for distributing the new CIS and letters to the household that best suits their operation. Distribution of the new form sometime during the period of July through September each year may help ensure that a sponsor has a maximum number of CIS returned by parent guardians to allow sponsor eligibility and approval by October 31st. Enrollment in a center or participation in CACFP cannot be contingent upon the parent or guardian completing the CIS. Sponsors are not required to have a CIS for each participant. Parents cannot be required to submit a CIS. If a parent guardian chooses not to complete a CIS, the participant is automatically determined as above scale. All information on the CIS is confidential. Sponsors must have systems to ensure that no one is allowed to access these documents other than authorized sponsor representatives, ODE CNP authorized staff, and USDA staff. Child Nutrition Program sponsors may share eligibility determination information with other CNP sponsors, but are not required to do so. ODE CNP recommends that sponsors develop a policy regarding when or if they will share eligibility information with other CNP sponsors. If a sponsor decides they will share this confidential information, they should have a written procedure regarding the process for the transfer of the information to another CNP sponsor. Information contained on the CIS may not be disclosed to any person or program that is not a CNP sponsor without signed authorization from the adult household member. Prior to disclosing any information, contact your child nutrition specialist. There are 3 different ways to determine the eligibility when reviewing a completed confidential income statement. Categorical eligibility is determined when the parent guardian provides a case number for SNAP, TANF, or an indication the household receives Food Distribution Program on Indian Reservations, FDPIR benefits. Income eligibility is determined when the household income has been provided by the parent guardian for each individual in the home and the current federal income guidelines. Foster children are categorically eligible for free meals if the sponsor obtains documentation from an appropriate state or local foster care agency or court indicating the status of the child as a foster child, whose child and placement is the responsibility of the state, or that the foster child has been placed with a caretaker household by a court. Child formerly placed in a kinship care by a child welfare agency or a court are also eligible. When approving confidential income statements, keep in mind only complete CIS forms can be approved as free or reduced priced eligible. If a section is missing pertinent information, then the form is determined as above scale. Sponsor officials may not complete any part of the household section of a CIS for a parent or guardian unless the parent or guardian cannot read or write, has a disability, and requires assistance, or request or require sponsor assistance to complete the CIS for any reason identified by them. Have on hand the current federal income guidelines for CIS forms that are qualifying based on income. ODE CNP highly recommends the sponsor to have an employee as a second check for all approved CIS forms. For more information on approving confidential income statements, please see the ODE CNP training, Approving Confidential Income Statements. Sponsors have the flexibility concerning the effective date of certification for program benefits. The date used to make this determination may be either the date the parent or guardian signed the confidential income statement or the date on which sponsor official signs the confidential income statement to certify eligibility of the participant. The flexibility only applies to eligibility determinations made through the application process of complete applications containing all required information at the time of submission. Sponsors must decide which date they will rely on as the effective date and apply this date to all confidential income statements. Please note, if the date of the household member or applicant's guardian is not within the month of certification or immediately preceding month, the effective date must be the date of certification. For more information regarding the income eligibility determinations, please refer to the ODE CNP Guidance on Income Eligibility Determinations and Duration, reissued on April 7, 2014. The memo is available on the ODE CNP CACFP public website. There are a number of other ways that participants may be classified in the free category without a CIS form on file. For more information on the different ways, please refer to Chapter 3, Eligibility Document of the ODE CNP CACFP Policy and Procedure Manual for center-based sponsors. The Community Eligibility Provision, CEP, is a provision from the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010 that allows national school lunch programs, NSLP, and school breakfast programs, SBP, with high poverty rates to provide free breakfast and lunch to all students. CEP eliminates the burden of collecting household applications to determine eligibility for school meals, relying instead on information from other means-tested programs such as SNAP and TANF. Many sponsors participating in NSLP and SBP in Oregon are participating in the Community Eligibility Provision. For the sponsors that are participating in CEP and operate childcare sites, the sponsor must distribute, collect, and approve CIS forms for enrolled participants. During announced and unannounced administrative reviews, ODE CNP staff will review CIS forms used to create the 1-month enrollment report, or the OMER, for completion and accuracy. If errors are found resulting in overclaims, the sponsor may be required to return funds to ODE CNP. ODE CNP will classify participants as above scale when the following information is missing from the approved CIS on file: income information for households not receiving SNAP, TANF, or FDPIR, the last 4 digits of the Social Security number of the person signing the CIS, or the check mark that the signer does not have a Social Security number, a valid SNAP or TANF case number for categorical eligibility, all household members not listed by name on income eligibility CIS forms. However, households may or may not include foster children when qualifying by income, signature or of parent guardian, date parent guardian signed the form. During the administrative review, ODE C&P may find other errors that can result in administrative review findings. Total income was added incorrectly, number of household members added incorrectly, using an outdated form, possibly from a previous fiscal year, free, reduced price, or above scale category not checked by the sponsor, participant placed in the wrong eligibility category, and CIS not approved, signed, and dated by the sponsor eligibility official. Other errors that can result in findings include CIS signed by the sponsor's eligibility official more than 12 months ago, the parent guardian was not given a copy of the letter to households, lost or otherwise missing CIS forms not on file for participants categorized as free or reduced priced eligible, confidentiality of income eligibility information is not maintained by the sponsor. On this slide, we have listed some of the online websites that have been referenced in the training. On this slide, we have included more resources that were mentioned in the training. Thank you for participating in Confidential Income Statements for Child Care Centers training for CACFP. If you have any questions, please contact your assigned child nutrition specialist. We greatly appreciate the work you do to fuel Oregon's future.